New details tonight on the terror army known as ISIS and its march toward Baghdad. There are reports tonight of mortar rounds landing inside the city, but we have not yet independently confirmed those. A number of media outlets on the scene are saying that the Islamic State terrorists are no more than 5 to 8 miles from the gates of Iraq's capital. Yesterday at this time, I spoke with the vicar of Baghdad's only Anglican church, Canon Andrew White. I asked him if he had faith in the soldiers of the Iraqi army who are protecting him and who continue to fight against ISIS.
I'm laughing because I said to one of my soldiers today, if ISIS were coming towards you, what would you do? He said, I'll take off my uniform. Why are you in the army then? Why are you a soldier? What are you doing? Aren't you protecting us? He said, no, I'm in it because I need the money.
Joining me now, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. He reached out to us after seeing the vicar. And General Jack Keane, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. And I'm going to start tonight with Tony. Tony, thank you for being here. So the vicar, he's sounding the alarm bells from inside Baghdad. He started his Facebook page, and then he came on the Kelly File last night to expand on his fears. What, if anything, should we be doing about this?
Well, Megyn, unfortunately, he began sounding the alarm 7 years ago. Nobody's really been listening. And America is about as reliable at this point under this administration as those Iraqi soldiers. But there is something that can be done because we don't want to see a repeat of the bloodbath that we've seen in other parts of Iraq. The United Nations could establish a security corridor that would allow the Christians to escape Baghdad to the south into Kuwait. That's about the only place they can go. There is a way. The question is there an international will to do that?
Do you believe that what's happening right now to the Christians inside of Iraq amounts to a genocide?
There's no question about it. Congressman Frank Wolf has raised that issue numerous times. They are systematically being murdered. They're being slaughtered. And the few Christians that are left. Remember, there was about 1.5 million before the U.S. invaded in 2003. They're down to maybe 250,000. Who knows how many have been murdered? We may never know. But the reports will continue if we don't do something. Now, I believe Charles was right. It's questionable whether or not they go into Baghdad, but can we risk it? Can we risk more innocent women and children being beheaded, crucified, raped, and sold into slavery when we can do something about it? But this administration has not found the will to do something for Christians.
You know, after the Holocaust, if you go to any concentration camp, you'll see the signs out there that say never forget in several different languages, never forget. And the quote from Santa Anna, that those who cannot remember the history are forever condemned to repeat it. And if indeed a genocide is happening right now at the hands of ISIS against Christians, and it's not just Christians, but they are indeed a target inside of Baghdad and inside of Iraq tonight. And they're waiting there. They're sitting there like sitting ducks, Tony. The question is whether the international community needs to be doing more to actively get them out. I understand the coalition, the bombing, but something to actively get them out.
They have to. Megyn, this is not going to work with just dropping bombs. Over the weekend when we had the dinner honoring Miriam Ibrahim, I spoke with a number of relief organizations that just came back, individuals that just came back from that region of the country. They said the same thing that the Canon said last night. These bombing raids are ineffective. Maybe 20% of them are hitting an actual target. This is very much like the wildfires we fight in the south, in the west. The assets in the air are great, but in order to contain and stop these wildfires, you've got to put firefighters on the ground. The same is true for stopping this spread of radical, militant Islamic army. You're going to have to put boots on the ground. There's no way around it.
Just for the viewers, and just a little color for you. The Catholic.org, this group that monitors it, reported that there was no Holy Communion in one area in northern Iraq for the first time in 2,000 years. They reported that on Monday. No Holy Communion for the first time in 2,000 years. That's the scope of what ISIS has achieved in Iraq. And yet, Tony, the administration has intervened. They've been bombing Iraq. They've been bombing Syria. They offered humanitarian assistance when the Yazidis were up on the mountain. They have not been silent. They haven't been idle. They've done some things, but this is a complex problem.
They have not done nearly enough. We have not done what we can do. As you mentioned, the humanitarian effort, there are still folks that are suffering in the northern part. And the humanitarian, the size of the humanitarian crisis is yet to be seen. America should pull together the international community through the United Nations and work to allow these Christians to escape before they're murdered by ISIS.
He sounded like a sitting duck when he talked to us last night. Tony, thank you for being here. And we'll be checking back in with Ken and White tomorrow.